Hi everyone, today marks the 75th anniversary of the Dambusters raid. Operation Chastise was conducted by 617 Squadron under command of Guy Gibson. Today we are going to do a tribute to that by reflying the Dambusters raid in this beautiful Lancaster bomber. Coming into the cockpit, let's have a look at her 4 Merlin engines. Absolutely beautiful. She's all prepped, ready to go, but we'll just have a quick look around the aircraft. Over here we have the engineer's seat, which pulls up, and his engineering control panel to monitor the engines. Back here we have the radio operator and navigator's compartment, and we'll squat down a little bit and head into the action area, the bombardiers, the bomb aimer's position. Right, there are the basic commands. Obviously we have the front gunner and the rear gunner as well. We'll just pop the magnetos and get this engines roaring. Starting engine 3 first. And listen to those Rolls-Royce Merlins purr into life. Oh, lovely. There. Let them idle for a bit and warm up. We'll just get engine 1 fired. Lovely. And while we're starting up the engines, I'll just let you know that we are flying from RAF Scampton. So this is now a disused base, so don't expect any great shakes here, but we are, for historical authenticity, we'll be flying from Scampton. Lovely. One of the major differences you will notice is that we are flying during the day. The Dambusters raid was of course flown at night, under the cover of darkness, but they did have a full moon. But we will be going up during the day because A, it makes more attractive video, and B, it gives me a chance to actually see where I'm going. You'll see we are flying AJW, W for Willie. This was Les Munro's aircraft, and unfortunately this aircraft never made it to the dams. Les Munro took some anti-aircraft fire over the Dutch coast and was forced to return to base. So we're going to take W for Willie to the dams for the first time. Right, as we just get the aircraft settled, we'll be flying over the British countryside at about 1,200 feet. Bearing in mind when they hit the North Sea and over the Dutch coast, the Squadron was flying anywhere between 130 feet. One of the flying officers, Price, was flying so low he actually clipped the sea and ripped off the upkeep mine, which you can see suspended under the aircraft. He amazingly was able to pull the aircraft out of the water and return to base. Right, we're coming down to 200 feet now as we come up to the Dutch coast. So this is 200 feet, and this is plenty low enough for me. In the build-up to the outbreak of war, Britain began looking at the industrial targets in the Ruhr Valley. The coke factories which powered the furnaces were the main target. However, further reports suggested that if you took away the water supply, it would have the same effect. The Mohne and Sorpe dams held back 75% of the total water available for the industrial valley. For maximum effect, the dams would have to be attacked when the water levels were at their highest. That meant mid-May, which was only 3 months from the time upkeep was given the green light. The task fell to Guy Gibson to hand-pick the flyers of 617 Squadron and to train them at low level and night flying. Right, crossing over the Dutch coast now. What they'd be praying is there were no flak ships or any searchlights in this area to light them up. The reason they were flying so low, of course, is to stay below enemy radar and give them their best protection from anti-aircraft fire and German fighters.
There's flak ahead.
So here we go, 200 feet over the treetops. Now, can you imagine doing this at night with other bombers in the vicinity? This is crazy.
Skipper, look out! There's flak ahead.
Right, flying along the canal now. This has been one of the relatively safe landmarks to use. Obviously there'll be no trees, no high-rise going over the water, and you could get down between the trees for full protection from anti-aircraft fire. Okay, we're coming up to the Mohne Dam now. What we have to do is fly, turn sharply, then fly over this island in the middle. Well, this bit of land jutting out, diving down over the far side and making a wing level run at 60 feet and 195 knots to allow the bomb aimer to get on. Oh, this is tricky. To get on and mark the target and drop the bomb. Can you imagine doing this at night? This is crazy. With a hail of anti-aircraft fire as well, coming from the dam flak towers.
Skipper, look, it's gone.
Great. Send to HQ, operation successful.
Once the Mohne was destroyed, the remaining aircraft with upkeep mines flew down the valley and headed to the Eder Dam, a similar construct of concrete and steel girders. Coming up to the Eder now, and you can see Waldeck Castle on the hillside there. Due to the valley's shape, the Eder proved to be a very difficult challenge. The attackers would have to approach over Waldeck Castle and then dive down to the lake, swinging sharply left. Hop over the spit of land, directly drop to 60 feet for the attack. As soon as they released the upkeep, they would then have to pull up steeply to avoid the high ground on the far side. In actual fact, the pilot would have no more than 5 seconds to line up the plane at 60 feet and release the weapon before it was too late. And once the Eder was breached, the remaining aircraft on the second wave headed to the Sorpe Dam. Only 3 aircraft made it to the Sorpe: T for Tommy, F for Freddy, and Y for York. Now, the Sorpe was a different kind of construct. It was a concrete core with 2 earthen banks on either side, and the idea was to fly parallel with the dam and do an inert drop, no backspin on the mine, so it would drop in the middle, and hopefully that would be enough to crack the core, and the water pressure would push the earthen bank and the concrete to split the dam.
Skip, there's the church tower at Lancaster dead ahead. If you fly towards the tower and then turn hard port to 134 just before it, the dam should be on the far side of that and we should be pretty well lined up for it. Bark, radio back to HQ, Gonner 78C. Upkeep exploded in contact with the Sorpe dam, causing no apparent breach. Am heading back to base.
T for Tommy and F for Freddy both dropped their mine on the Sorpe dam, but with no apparent effect. At the time, the raid was considered a great success, a real knife into the back of German war effort. However, from a human element, over 1,600 casualties were inflicted, over half of those estimated to be forced labour camp workers of Dutch, French and Soviet Union origin. The raid did not have the military effect that it was believed at the time. Full water output was restored by the 27th of June 1943. The raid did have great propaganda value for British morale and aided Churchill's efforts to keep the US and Soviet Union's focus on the European theatre. The raid also caused Germany to relocate valuable resources away from the Atlantic Wall construction, with an estimated 7,000 construction workers and war resources being moved to repair the dams. Following the Blitz, British morale was at an all-time low, with no apparent way of striking back at the enemy. The release of the reconnaissance photos to the British press gave the British public a graphical demonstration of how the fight was being taken back to the enemy. Regardless of the strategic importance of this raid, what is without question is the genius of the upkeep plan by Barnes Wallis and the skill and bravery of the 617 Squadron, epitomised by the charismatic figure of Guy Gibson, to take on and achieve a seemingly impossible task and creating one of the greatest war stories of all time. But unlike most stories, the reality of the bravery and skill of these young men is far more amazing to behold.